Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to yet again another edition of Office Hours. I know everybody's busy, so I see some people that you guys are all experienced at this point. So you know how this works. If you have a question, raise your hand, just so we know. Okay, Diana, thank you so much. Get us started.
You're welcome. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can.
Okay, good. I had emailed this question to Ronnie yesterday, so I'm hoping that you guys on the call can tell me how you're doing this. Our communications committee met and they had a question. In the program, you can have a photo album and members can, we can create photo albums. Can we create one? The question is that members can put photos into, like say we have our, reverse trade show. We want members to take photos, upload them into like a central photo album. Is that possible, or do we have to create like a photo album, or they create one for themselves and then they're able to share those photos with us, or they have to email them to us and we have to upload them? How do you guys handle that? Are you able to do that?
Sounds like you're asking the community as a whole before you're asking me. So I'm going to let the community answer. Meanwhile, if anybody has any comments, which group are you with?
With the Copper chapter.
Okay.
Yes, Copper chapter of NIGP in Tucson, Arizona.
So part of that question is, can members upload their own photos, right, Diana?
Yeah. And
into an existing photo album, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because we ask members at events take photos, but then we want them to be able to upload them to like an RTS photo album if they can do that. And we didn't know if they just needed to send them, to us, or how that works. We'd love for them to be able to upload it themselves, and then the coordinator, who's the administrator over that, album, could go in and, modify, adjust, remove duplicates, stuff like that. And these, I think, are just ones that people have kind of created. And I just have that general one where, we just, I've dumped photos into, but we just want to know, is that something we could set up, members could do it?
Diana, it's Jenny
Uh-huh.
from Washington State Chapter. Yes, I actually just did one recently with the fall conference where I selected prior to the conference, I'm like, hey, can someone be kind of like photographers for the day? And so I just went in the back end and gave them permission to the album. And so they're able to dump it in there themselves, and gave them a couple of instructions on how to do that. I think once you suggest them as a coordinator, they get a ping in the email, which is not a very helpful one to go, oh, okay, well, great, I am. So what do I do? Quickest pro tip is if they could just log in on their member profile via their smartphone. It's the quickest way to upload from there. Much better than doing it on the desktop.
So yeah, in the configure, when you go to photo albums and you go to the photo album options, you can allow members to upload their own, create their own photo albums in there. I just don't really recommend it, because then you're going to have just a million photo albums with a million pictures. And then actually when you are working within your menu and you're trying to add some subpages, there's going to be a whole bunch of photo albums in here too from all these members.
Okay.
So I don't recommend it. I recommend, if you have, like Ginny said, if you have an event, going to creating a photo album for the event. So we're going to go to control panel and photo albums, and you can create a new photo album. And then when you create the new photo album, maybe it's for October 2025 reverse trade show. And So that's not gonna fit. We're just gonna go 2025 reverse trade show would be the menu item. And you can add it to a category of availability as on any website, either member or any website. That's who can see it.
Okay,
And then you can put in a little quick link and a description. The quick link, if you did a quick link, let's say that's the quick link. Save.
Okay.
What that does is up here, you can share that email or that website URL as, and then it would take you directly to the photo album that you create. That's what that quick link means.
Oh, okay.
So let's go back to that website, photo albums. And I did this one. Where is it? Here we go.
Yeah.
So then I would assign the coordinators here.
Okay.
So if you have like 5 people that you want to tell them to please take pictures and upload pictures, you would add them as a coordinator. You'd search by last name and add them, and then they have coordinator rights for that album only specifically.
Okay.
And I'm just going to delete that real quick. Okay. Does that help you out?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that way, if we need to assign people, there's certain people that are there that always take pictures. And
Mhm.
so to be able to say, okay, here's one photo album, they get the access to it, then they can download it. And then, I mean, we'd have them download it, and then and I'm just asking as a suggestion, would I say assign like myself or one of the other people as kind of as a coordinator over it, and then we would be able to go in and say, okay, here's duplicates, or here's other pictures, and be able to arrange them. Because I saw yesterday, you can go in and kind of arrange their order and
Yes.
everything. Okay. Okay.
Yes. Now, if it's always going to be the same people, like you said, you have a group of people who are always taking pictures, instead of adding them as a coordinator to each new album that you can create, you can add them as a coordinator for any album by going to the chapter tab, administrators and coordinators. And then you can go down here to coordinator, and let's just add a new coordinator. We're going to, so I'm going to go back there because I think you were looking down. I'm going to add a coordinator.
Okay.
And I am going to select a name. I'm just going to throw in last name A. I'm
Okay.
not going to save this, so don't worry. And then now Tara is going to be a coordinator, and I want her to be a coordinator of the photo albums and to be able to add photo albums.
Okay.
And then when I save that, and again, I'm going to delete it. Now I've got Tara here. And let's say the next person I want to add, I want to have the exact same features. I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to choose Jennifer. And now when I save that, and I'm not going to save it because but basically, well, I'm going to save it for a second. Now Jennifer has,
The same rights.
the exact same coordinator rights that I just gave the other person, so that you don't have to constantly be doing it. You can just copy, and it's automatically going to copy
Oh, okay. That's
those
great.
same coordinator rights. And of course, if you wanted to give Jennifer one more coordinator right, you can also go back in there and edit and then save, and then she'd have that extra one.
Okay.
Before we move on, let me delete those.
No, that's great.
Okay.
Wonderful.
And then that way you don't have to constantly be adding them to a photo album coordinator. You can just make them a coordinator of all photo albums.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
That it for your questions, Diana? Yeah.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
So I admit I'm not used to Zoom. I use Teams, but there's 2 hands up and I'm not sure which one. Teams gives me a number. So Ruthenna or Ginny, I'm not sure which one of you was first. Sorry.
I actually was first. I got bumped because I spoke and made a
Okay.
comment. So sorry. I also added a comment to Diana in the chat about if members want to create their own photo albums, that is something they can do. And then they can adjust their view settings. If they want to say, hey, members want to look at my pictures, sure, it's up to them. And yes, this is being recorded, Teresa, every session. So my question to Washington State chapter, and I think Yvonne, I have not been able to get back to you on my question. So when we do a registration, I notice that I'm the primary, and then I try to add my team to it. I can only do it one at a time instead of marking all of them. Is that a thing that just we can't get around that? Because it's a lot of work
Can you, can you give me a specific
to an
event?
event, right? Just one particular event. Could we actually do one that's already done? Because I don't think I have. Well, I guess we can do the emerging professional one that's coming up on October.
Oh, I got November. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
November or November. It's fine.
Or
Yeah,
this one's actually
this hasn't
December.
happened yet, right?
Okay.
So yeah, who can register or registration fees? Okay, yes, here.
Registration and fees, you have no guess.
Yeah, no guest. Yeah, this one's just for members only.
And who can register? You don't have the secondary.
Oh, okay. I knew there was a reason. Okay. So
Yeah,
to do
so
that,
you would want to you would want to change, you'd want to allow guests. So I don't know how many secondaries you have as a maximum in your
okay.
group, but let's say you had 5. You would change that to 5, and then who can register? This should actually be changed to, let's see, we want active members. And then, let's see, we would want a member guest, another person in your membership. So that you would want to add that. And now, when you would go to register, you would be able to add yourself and then up to 5. It should be up to 5.
Perfect.
Up to 5 people within your same organization.
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank
Yes,
you.
yes,
That totally
So
answers
that-
my question. Okay.
So that means that the member guest is basically your secondary members if you have a primary membership.
Right.
okay.
Is there any way to edit that label?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So when
yeah.
when you create it, so I'm sorry, I'll just go here. So the next step here would be, let me go up, let me use you as an example. What is your last name, Jenny?
Justiniano. Justin. I should be the only the only one.
So now when I go next, then it's going to I don't know if it's not
Oh.
allowing me.
Hmm.
Let me see. Let me hold on. Or first of all, let's go back to this. And yes, you can edit that text. You can
Okay.
change what it says here.
I
So
would
you can
prefer my
say,
secondary members or something, another member of my team or something that's resonates because guest just makes you think they're outsiders.
right. So,
Okay.
and then after you do that, you hit save. And then when you go back to event, it's going to say secondary.
Perfect. I love that.
But you can
Exactly right.
change
Thank
that.
you, Ronnie, for asking that question.
And then let's just look one here. Yeah, see, I think you might have to do, let's see, because you have an agency membership?
Mm, we do because we're trying to track the dual members versus non-dual.
What's your agency membership called though?
Interesting, you guys don't have an agency specific.
No, we don't have an agency specific. No, actually, we don't.
People? Member
It must be
types?
built under their regular members.
Yeah, I think it is just built under regular members.
No,
Yeah,
no
we've never
secondary.
built anything by agency, but is that something we can do? That we should do? Because like we have 2 or 3
You
agencies
have
where
to
they have
find regular
70
there.
people.
There's
Look here.
yeah, full regular.
Full regular. So, and then renewing dual. Okay, so these are where the secondaries are under full regular. So
Yeah.
let's see. And you are a 2025 renewing dual. And your secondary, so you have 4 secondary members.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to that event. And that was this one. And just see here, we're going to go by selected type, dual,
Okay.
and we
Secondary
can keep the
member
same
of my
name.
team. Yeah.
This
Secondary
would be the
member.
primary though.
Oh,
So
okay.
let's see. Let's see if we did for now.
Okay, I like
See what
that.
happens. And then member guest. Okay, so let's see if this works now. Back to event. This is throwing me off, and I don't know if it's because of my limited org,
Well, that's
accessibility. I
okay.
don't know, but
Just
I'll
save
play.
it and I'll play with it on my back
Yeah,
end. Maybe it'll work for me and I'll
yeah,
test it
and then
out
let
for
me
you.
know.
Will do.
Okay.
All right. So that was my first question. My second question, could we go to the custom pages, please?
So custom pages are under website, custom
Mhm.
pages.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a title of one, or should I just search
Just
all?
hit search. Yeah, please. So, yes. So I noticed that like there's, let's say, oh, do you have it just for active only? Because I think I
Yes,
had
I could
more.
do all.
Yes, if we can do all. Maybe that hasn't. Okay, so policies, and this is more of a question, and Ronnie, maybe you have more experience on this. I just noticed I'm trying to see if I can create more custom pages. For example, like I'm trying to create one for upcoming elections, for a scholarship speaker forum that we're trying to do. But I noticed some of these like policies and procedures. Is this something like some of these templates that NIGP loaded? Is everyone using this, like this particular page, or was that just a
It is a
suggestion?
subpage template as part of the original template of the site. It's kind of, space for you to put text, but then you can delete stuff that you don't want. It's obviously up to you if you want to use it.
Okay.
You can also just create from scratch. But what is nice about this is that this has the CSS and stuff in it. Whereas the others don't, right? So some of the spacing, for instance, and certainly the colored boxes and blah, blah, blah. But it is up to you. But that exists for that purpose, so that you can copy this and create page after page after page as you and edit it as you choose. So
Okay, great. And I noticed there was one too that's called just template. So I'm assuming that's probably something we just want to
I can't
continue to
remember.
keep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was several in there. So, all right,
Yeah.
just wanted to confirm because I was like, wow, I didn't realize there were like a newsletter. We already have a newsletter page, but there's a template out here.
Yeah.
So,
Here's
but
the same thing, kind of. Yeah.
they
It's
look identical. Okay,
uh,
awesome. Just want to confirm. Thank you
And
for that.
just as an FYI, for other people who might not want to use the templates, let's say you have a page like let's look at this scholarship. Okay, so let's say this scholarship is a good page, and this you want to create another page that is similar. This format is working fine. You want the 3 columns. Everything here looks good. You might just want to, obviously, you're going to change the text up here and possibly the image, and obviously the text here. What you can do instead of starting from scratch is you can just take scholarships, go over here to the copy function, copy that page and recreate, maybe the new page is going to be elections. And then again, that quick link works the same way. If you type in elections, then up here, if you remove content and put in elections, that page is automatically going to open. And it's going to ask you for which version you want. Usually, I can't understand why you wouldn't use the active version, because that's the most recent and the one that is the most, perfectly set up the way you want. So you would choose active. Now what happens is you have that new page, elections, but if you go to edit it, let's see, there's a couple of ways to get to this, but let me look here. It says scholarships. So now you need to rename it because it copied scholarships number 32 active. And when you go to that page, okay, you don't have the breadcrumbs on, but if you had the breadcrumbs on, it would say scholarship here instead of elections for the breadcrumbs here. But some of you might have breadcrumbs on, and so that's going to be very important for you to rename it. And the way that you rename it is once you get to it, you can just go to this little wrench icon and you can rename it to elections.
Great. Love it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Do you want me to
All right.
delete that?
Nope. Let's keep it.
Okay.
I don't want to undo that.
Jump in a little about the Vanity URL. Sorry, I don't remember what you called it. On those, basically that is taking your long URL with lots of numbers and things that nobody can remember and creating it to something like, I use a Vanity URL for forum, right? NIGP.org/forum. That way everyone can remember it. That's kind of the thinking behind it. It's just creating those user-friendly URLs.
Right.
Great. Thank you for that. That's all my questions for today. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Nope, never mind. It's all right. I'll let Rithina
If you have
ask
another
her
one, just
question.
raise your
Yeah,
hand.
I'll put it in the chat. Thanks.
Ruthenna, thank you for being so patient.
You're welcome. Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine is kind of a loaded question. So we're getting ready to do our elections. So I wanted to know how to suspend members that have not paid their dues. I want to block them from being able to electronically vote. So I have three questions. One, I need to know how to create a list of the members that haven't paid their dues, send out a mass email, and then suspend their account.
And are you New York?
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Maryland.
Okay, there's a lot of Baltimores.
Okay. So let's see here. Do all of your member types, first of all, do all of your member types vote?
Students don't vote. I think Tony, does retirees vote? I don't
Uh,
think.
no,
No.
retirees, no, associates, no, just our members, national and chapter members, and
Okay.
not honorary.
So when you send the email for the elections, you're going to want to make sure that you're only choosing active members within those specific membership types. And we'll get to that in a minute. So the first thing, if you go to the People tab, People Manager, you can look at you'll probably want to filter. So let's start with filtering. We're going to filter by member type. And for your agency memberships or any of the groups that have secondary, are secondaries allowed to vote as well, or just
Yes.
the primary?
Yes. Secondary.
Okay, so let's do member type, and then your memberships are all 12, 30. Well, let's see, you've got this one's 9/15/2025, but the rest of them are all 12/31. So you're on a calendar year. So you'll probably want to look at this, look for anything that's off of the 12/31 and find out why.
Okay.
So that's first of all. So you can choose to send emails to only active members and it's not going to go to the expired. But this person expired last year. When you do your elections, is your election email going out before the end of the year or in January are your elections?
It's gonna go out before the end of the year.
So you're just going to send to active members. You're not going to send to any of the expired that expired last year. So when you create an expired member, just look here real quick. Under people options, I'm sorry, never mind, renewal. So you've got members can log in, but only to renew their membership. So if for some reason an expired member were to get a link to the elections, they wouldn't be able to vote because they're expired. They'd have to log in in order to vote. You need to be a member. So you're going to set up your elections as active members, obviously. And then if for some reason somebody shared that email with them and they were expired a year ago, they're going to go to the website and it's going to prompt them. It won't allow them to vote. It's going to prompt them to renew. And that's it. They won't be able to go anywhere else on the website except until they renew and pay their dues.
And then once they renew and pay their dues, they're automatically reactivated.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Is that-
then are you asking if they haven't yet paid their dues, even though they haven't expired, you don't want them to be able to vote?
So if they paid their dues up until this year, if they're paid for up until the end of this year, then yes, they can vote. We would like them to be able to vote, but then anyone who, yeah, is that right, Tony?
Yeah,
We're not concerned with next year.
it's correct. We're sending out notices for people to pay their dues, but then, like, let's say the 27th of this month, I think it's the 27th. Yeah, 27th. We're going to open it up for voting, and we're going to have voting for 2 weeks. We just thought it might be kind of difficult for someone to say, well, I want to pay, like, let's say after a week into voting. The question is, do we allow them to vote? But I guess if they paid, then they should be able to vote, even that last week or that last day or so. So that's fine. I just thought it would be too cumbersome for my team to kind of figure out who's doing what. But so once they become active, let's say within a week into voting, and they got one more week, then they can just log back in, and then they will be able to vote. Am I correct?
Well, I think I'm still confused because if they paid up membership through 12/31/2025 and you're opening up elections at the end of this month, they're technically still an active member until 12/31/2025 and they don't have to pay their dues until 12/31/2025.
Yeah.
That is correct, but we have some that have not paid their dues for this year.
Right. So here's a list. First of all, here's a list. I sorted here members expired, and you have 105 people who are expired. You have a couple of things. First of all, you could clean up here. You can drop your expired members, or maybe you decide that you want to keep the ones that expired on 12/31/2024. You want to keep them in your system as expired, but you want to drop older ones, people that haven't been a member for a couple years, perhaps. Maybe you want to drop them out of your system. You can do that by sorting through expired and going to member options and drop expired. And when you click on drop expired, it'll give you a date that you want to drop expired members up to. So maybe you wanted to do 12/31/2023. So you want to drop any members that expired prior to 12/31/2023. So then you wouldn't have that many expired members in here. That's up to you. You don't have to do that. It's just a cleanup tool. But again, when you send out the election, you're not going to send out the election email to somebody who expired 12/31/2024. Now, they're not going to have the email. Again, if somebody shared that email with them, I don't know why they would not be able to vote. But if they logged into the website, they paid their dues, and then they clicked on the link that somebody shared with them that should not have shared with them, then they would be able to vote because now they're an active member. Is that what you're trying to get to? But again, you're not going to send the email to this person. This person's not going to receive the email to vote because they're expired.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is what you exactly said. We're just trying to clean up for purposes of folks who are active this year and to vote. And so we're giving a date between now and the 27th to become an active member. If not, we're just going to send it out to those active members for 2 weeks so that we can get the vote in and then go from there. But the question was, like, let's say 1 week into voting, they become an act, they paid their dues, then they wouldn't have received that email. But if someone shared it with them, then they can go back in and go ahead and do it. So
Right.
that's,
And you can, of course, send a follow-up email. If you're going to send an email to these people saying, hey, we're going to have elections, and if you renew your membership, you're going to be able to vote for the upcoming in the upcoming elections. And then
yes,
you can send a follow-up email, a reminder email. And say the initial email went out to 100 members that are active, and then you scheduled it to send a follow-up email to all active members a week later. And in the meantime, 5 people renewed, that follow-up email would go out to the 100 people original plus the new 5 people that renewed.
yeah, yep. And actually that was the strategy because during the period of voting, we want to say, hey, did you vote? And then we'll send it out. And then of course the system will locate those folks who are now active and send them out an actual, I guess for the voting. So yeah, that's fine. Yep.
So one way to reach out to these expired members is to, again, go to the People tab, the People Manager, sort by members and member status expired. And now all of these members are expired, 105, and you can download this list. And when you download the list, it'll include the expiration date, and you can sort by the expiration date. And maybe you only want to reach out to the ones that expired in 12/31/2024. That's up to you. But this is just one way to download and get their email address and send them an email. If you're going to send it personally outside of ClubExpress. If you're going to send it within ClubExpress, when you sort this, you can sort actions and create a new mailing list with these results. And you can name this 2020, or maybe you want to do something like October 14th expired members. And I'm not going to save it, but I'm not going to also add it to my screen. What that means is if you have enabled add me to your mailing list on your website, this option to be added to if you wanted to add yourself to a mailing list, you'd have the option to add yourself to this mailing list. So you don't want to add that to the add me screen. I'm not going to save it, but if I were to save it, then I could send a blast email through ClubExpress to these 105 people.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to do everything through ClubExpress, and that's fine. So yeah, I think we're at where we want to be. Ruthina, anything else?
I think that's it with this. Yeah. So, so okay, never mind. This is I can ask Tony this offline. It's not specific to what you guys are doing. So yeah, thank you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to clarify, Yvonne, though, and I could be wrong, but setting up an election, isn't that for members only anyways? So
Yes, if you configure it as an election, it's only going to be active members, which means,
Oh.
like I said, you can create an election using the survey module without creating it as an election, but I have websites on ClubExpress that they use the survey module for their elections, and they've always done it as just a regular survey, and they only send it to a specific member type. because when they created that and first started using the survey module for their elections, there was not the option built into ClubExpress to enable it as an election. Enabling it as an election was only added to ClubExpress a few years ago, but it's a great tool that way because then it can only be an active member and they can only vote once.
Oh, I like that.
Well, that's an added protection for you
Mhm.
guys in terms of non-members being able to vote.
Right.
Okay, so I have an add-on question. Opening up the results for the election. Let's say, and this is actual what's happening. We got 4 people for 2 slots, and they're like directors. So one of the persons who manages our website, she actually is on the list to be a director. So my concern in just trying to make sure there's transparency is having, well, it's not a problem with her, but having a couple of people when we review the results, like how is that opened up? Who can view it? Can multiple people view it at one time? Or is it like one person's laptop and you got 3 people looking on, to make sure that those results are what they are and no one's, just for transparency and visibility.
Okay, so somebody here is up for election, is what you're saying?
Yes. Well, actually, let's see. Two of those people on that list are vying to get elected. And so I wanted to make sure that the person opening it up is not the only person seeing the results, but a couple other people, or maybe somebody else should look at the results and report the results.
Anybody with full admin is going to be able to see the results and is going to be able to delete election, a vote that comes in. So I guess what I would recommend.
Okay, so let me just say this before you. So at a certain point, we're closing elections, which is probably going to be 2 weeks from when it opens up. Which will actually, I'm looking at a calendar now, which will be the probably the 10th. So the 10th election's going to close, and can we make elections close like at midnight, or is it like 5 o'clock at the end of the day, or we can make it anytime we want? Correct?
Yeah, I believe you can do a date, not a time.
Okay, a date. Okay, so let's say it closes on the 10th. Okay, the 11th is a holiday, but when it closes, does it close at midnight or when does it close? When
That's
it
a good
becomes the
question.
11th? Huh?
That's a good question. I've always wondered, and to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I've always wondered if you put in 12/6, is that 12:01 a.m. the morning of 12/6, or is that 11:59 p.m. the night of 12/6? I have always wondered that. It's a very good question. It's something that's always been on in the back of my brain to ask ClubExpress, and I never have. For events, it's you can put a time in. So you can close an event at 11:50 p.m. on 12/6, but for a survey, you can't put a time. So I'm going to, this is prompting me now to make sure that I ask ClubExpress this and find out if it is 11:59 on 12/6 or 12:01 a.m. on 12/6. So I will get back to you on that. And if anybody else wants to know, anybody who's on this meeting, I can certainly send an email to you as well if you want to find out that information.
Okay, so let's just say 12/6 at 11:59. Okay, fine. So then you said anybody who has was it rights, they can look at it. Now, once it's closed, does it get locked in like nobody can manipulate, nobody can do anything, correct?
No, no. You can still go to, like, for instance, let's see a closed one. This one is closed here. If I go to the results, oh, there are no results. Let's see. Yeah, response count. These are active still.
Yvonne, I have one, if you
yeah.
want to look at mine,
Oh, sure.
2024 ballot.
Oh. Again, it's communications, surveys, 2024 election ballots, 2024.
You can even do the 2025
Yeah,
election
it's
ballot,
closed, yeah.
actually. But
So
you
if I
can
go
view it.
here,
Yeah.
you can click on click on one. You can delete all responses. A lot of groups like yourself delete ballots at the end of, like they do a resolution to delete ballots. But you cannot, yeah, you can't edit it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Let's see.
So, you know, and I'm not want to get too granular, but just want to be able to review the results. Everybody review the results. Everybody kind of certifies it. And then when would you, then once everybody understood what the results are, then I can just say, hey, let's just destroy the ballots. And how do you do that?
You would delete all of them at once.
Oh, okay. All right.
Delete all responses.
All right. But once that the midnight hits and then it's like 1 o'clock in the morning and people go in, the ones who are allowed to, they can just look at the results and then go back to sleep or whatever what they want to do.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
And so this is different. So this is good. An ad hoc form you can edit, and you can withdraw or delete an individual ad hoc form. But this is, and I was wondering if in the survey manager, it was only if it were configured as an election, whether or not you couldn't cancel, but it looks like you can, you are not able to delete an individual response in any of the surveys. So that's good.
Okay.
Tony, also, just to clarify maybe a little of what you were asking, was there any concern that one of your full site admins who is running for an election might be looking at the results as they're coming in and you'd like to not allow them to do that? Because was that your question as well?
No.
Okay.
So folks can look at the ballots as they're coming in to see who's doing what. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Unless you
My-
remove them from access as a coordinator for that.
Tony,
Okay.
this is Jennifer with NIGP, and I highly recommend you doing that. If you have somebody running for an office and has access to the back end, that during that 2-week period that they do not have that access. I've seen some elections go astray in years past when those people have that access. I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it makes it very above board and very clean that somebody can't watch it come in because their name's on it. I would certainly stop that access for those 2 weeks.
So that's
Yeah, I
why
can
I
see where
asked the
somebody might
question.
see that they're not winning and then all of a sudden start doing a little bit of campaigning to get more votes.
Okay.
And so what you would want to do is you'd want to remove them. So anybody with full admin access is going to have full access to everything. So let's say the person is Ronnie, which it's not. You would delete her from full admin, but you can still give her coordinator rights for almost everything else, but don't give coordinator rights for the survey tab.
Okay. Okay.
And you
No,
can
that
change it
afterward-
back, right? You can change it back afterwards.
Right. And then afterwards, you would just delete her from the coordinator and add her back to the administrator.
okay. Yeah, that was my concern with two of those folks who actually had admin rights that they're vying for, which is great. But I just wanted to make sure that there is transparency.
And I think that's the cleanest way, is to show that record that you were able to cut that off. And there are no questions of anything going on the back end.
Okay, so a quick question. So those two people that we're gonna limit access to, how do I do that? Because are you gonna tell me to do that, Tony?
Well, I'll have because one of them is like our webmaster. So
Yeah.
up until the point where we open up elections, then we'll delete the person once we start opening up elections, and then that's why Ronnie is still there, so that she can assist us. And then once we reviewed all the results, then we can add that person back in.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you delete, if it were Ronnie, you would just go to coordinator and you can do you can check all, check
Oh,
all, check all, check all, and not check all here. And you would just say, okay, she can do the messaging, the blogs, the forums, the news, but cannot do the survey. So you'd give her admin for every other thing except the survey, and then save. And then later, when you want to give her full access back, you would delete this and
Right.
add her back up here, which,
So when you said don't do the survey, they can vote for themselves. Am I correct?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
They just can't see what the
correct,
results are
correct.
as they come in.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
And then when you do the survey, I believe I believe when you configure let's see, elections. I believe when you configure an election, you can still have somebody get an email with the results when somebody votes. So you want to make sure that that person is not listed as getting an email when somebody votes, because then they'll see who's getting voted for.
Okay.
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 All
We'll
right.
get recording.
Got everything? Sorry.
So a quick question then, Tony, do you not have like a nomination elections chair that is in charge of all of the election activities? Like, are you guys,
We have
okay,
a nomination election chair who's very new, and
okay.
and we're all huddling around that person.
Okay, so I'm assuming the ballot that will be created would list them as the person who gets notified if a member does the voting.
Yes, yes, yes. Well,
Um,
are they going to be getting a whole lot of every time somebody votes, they're going to get pinged?
if you check it, yes, it would. If you
Okay.
uncheck it, then you don't. You can just go in the back end at any time and see how many
I'll just go in the
votes.
back end. Yeah, yeah, because that person is already nervous, you know.
Yeah, they'll get every single email for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't want it, just uncheck it. I mean, I have a whole committee. It's got a chair and like, yeah, that's a lot of work on the back end. I think just, we're all professionals. I think having a special board meeting, if you have to call it in and just talk about the rules, for sure. But again, it also depends how big the chapter is and you know your chapter best. So hopefully it all goes well for you. Thanks.
I think it will. We're kind of, moving into some uncharted territory, but I think, for the most part, it's not the, it's not the president-elect, vice president, treasurer. It's actually some board members, and that's fine. We got two, and we got four, so choose two, and there you go. Yeah.
Is that everything for Maryland? You guys good? Move on. Heather, I think it's Heather H. Hodgman. Thinking it's Heather has her hands up. So should we move
Thank
on?
you.
Yeah, thanks, Ronnie.
Yep.
So I'm with the Arizona State.
Okay, hi.
So I have a question. When we have a conference actually in 2 days, and when running a report for our members, because we create badges for our members, and when I run a report, when we have a primary person register multiple people, when running a report, it doesn't provide all those names. So what report am I missing to make sure it shows all the names that primary member registered?
Are you clicking here on this
Yep,
report?
yep.
I really don't use this report. Sometimes I use this report for an event, like for instance, an in-person event where I want to print out everything they've registered for, fold it, and put it in a registration envelope. But generally speaking, I use the exports. And I highly recommend that if you find a report or an export that you like, that has all the information that you want for whatever you're going to be using it for, make yourself a note somewhere because there are so many reports and exports
Mhm.
and they all have different information. I actually, for an in-person conference, I have multiple, I have a sheet that has all the different reports that I need to write for or run for specific purposes. But probably this one here, registrant data, again, it's the exports. And then registrant data, it automatically defaults to open, paid, canceled. You don't need the canceled or anything like that. So I just go with the paid, especially if you're requiring prepayment. If you're not requiring prepayment and they can pay at event, then you're not going to be able to use that one. You're going to have to do open and paid. And then when you hit export, this will have, so this is Marissa registrant. Let's see.
I pulled it and I just Googled somebody or did a quick find search. So, okay. I just always go to reports and never go to export. So I'll just have to make sure I do that
Yeah. And then
next
that'll list
time.
the other
Yeah.
report, the other one will list the like it would say your name and then further down the line it would have the 5 people you also registered, but this one will have all of the names in one column.
Yeah, when you go to report and you go to event registrations, it actually does not.
Event registrations.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't like me.
Yeah, see this to me this report isn't useful. I definitely like the exports better. Yeah.
Yeah, I just always use regular reports, but that's fine. At least I know it's there because I was like it's driving me crazy yesterday. So, okay,
Yeah, and
perfect.
especially if you're using you know, for name badges,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Sorry.
Mhm. As long as we're here at an event, if I could show you a couple of new things with Club Express. I don't know if anybody went to the Club Express webinar a couple weeks ago on the new events updates, but just in case, I'm going to go to this event, Basic Info. And you'll notice down here, this is now labeled as Edit, Cancellation, and Release Agreement. And it is. Let's see. And over here, it's registration options. So it's a long name here, but it's registration options here. So if I uncheck this, registration options disappears. So first of all, I don't know why they haven't named it the same thing to make it more clear, but this edit, cancellation, and release agreements is the registration options. And when you click on registration options, one new thing ClubExpress enabled is allowing registrants to make edits to their registrations instead of having to go to an admin. So for instance, if it's an event where the primary is registering themselves plus 2 people within their agency, and then one of the people is not able to go, and so they need to add a different person from their agency. If you don't have this turned on, you have to go to the admin. The admin needs to make the edit. If now you are allowing, if you click yes here, now the registrant can actually edit their own registration. And what they will get in, if you turn this on, you can actually have the cutoff date, and here's where you have a time. So you can say 12/6/2025 at 11:59 p.m., for instance. And then what happens is if you turn this on, which I'm not going to because I don't want to mess with your event, when a registrant is registered and they're logged in, they will see another button here that says edit my registration or something. I don't have one to show you, but it's very clear what the purpose of that button is. So I don't know if it says edit my registration or what the text is, but there'll be another button here so that they can edit their own registration. So that's a really cool thing. It's going to save you problems if you from getting emails asking people to make edits. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, Yvonne, with that, I think this is fabulous. But if is it just to edit the names or can they go ahead and request the cancellation?
If you allow cancellations, so
Yeah.
going back, that's a separate thing. Are cancellations allowed? Yes. So if cancellations are allowed, that means the member can cancel their registration. If you have it no, then they can't cancel their registration.
Yeah, they always come to us to do it for them. So it'll just be a training. So, okay.
Yeah. Now, with that being said, when they go to edit their registration, if the button were here, once they get to the second to last screen, it's going to say, are you sure you want to edit this? Because it says it's going to cancel their registration. And it really doesn't cancel their registration. What it does is it cancels the existing registration. Let's say the fee was $150. It gives them $150 in as a credit. So when they say yes, it goes to the next screen to pay, and it shows $150 credit. So if it's an even transaction, all they're doing is swapping one person for another person. There's no additional charge. The charge is 150, the credit is 150, submit payment, it's done. So you might get questions on that where people are afraid, they're thinking they're canceling the registration. Hopefully ClubExpress does a better job in the future in clarifying that language in that pop-up that comes up. But they're technically canceling, but not canceling, if that makes sense. We're running out of time, so real quick, another really cool thing is they have now enabled Zoom integration. So if you have a Zoom account, if your agency or your group, your chapter has a Zoom account, you can configure a Zoom configuration here by going to the Events Manager, Configure Zoom Configuration. Now, what you need to be is you need to be signed into your Zoom. You need to be signed into your chapter's Zoom. And then you would go to the ClubExpress website, the Events Manager, configure Zoom, and integrate. And it's just going to be another pop-up. I'm not going to click it because it's going to confuse it. And you'd allow. And then what's going to happen is you are going to be able to create an event and link a Zoom directly from your calendar. I'm going to add a new event. And I'm going to make this on Thursday. And I'm going to, it's in the location. So, let's see, oops, sorry. So, taking a little bit. And in the location here, when I click on Zoom meeting, it's linked, it's integrated to this Zoom account, whatever your login for your Zoom account. Now I can either create an existing meeting that I've already created in Zoom, or I can, let's see, I believe, no, I guess you do. You have to already have created the wait, here we go. You can create a new meeting. So you can create a new meeting or use an existing meeting. So if you create a new meeting, you can turn on these features and it's automatically going to set up the meeting within that Zoom account. And then the really cool thing about it is, let's see, it's just when somebody registers for the meeting, I don't have it set up here. When somebody registers for the meeting, they're going to get two emails. The first email is going to be the typical registration email from ClubExpress. It's going to, ClubExpress and the integration is actually going to register them in Zoom. So then they're going to get another email from Zoom with a calendar, add to calendar event. And then if you, depending on what your Zoom settings are, you can have it set up to send automatic reminders to people the day before, but it's a really, really cool feature. And highly recommended if you have a chapter Zoom account to do that because it's going to save you time. And people are going to be able to add that Zoom link right to their calendar.
Heather, did you have another quick question?
Yeah, is there any inclination that they'll do this with Teams? A lot of agencies in Arizona, we use Teams instead of Zoom and got out of Zoom after COVID. Because I know I have a hard time when I do, and I always go to you, Yvonne. So any inclination that they will do that?
No, but we can send an email request to and if you're interested in it, the more people who send an email to Club Express suggesting that they do an integration to Teams, the more likely it's going to be happening. And what you do is you send an email to ideas, IDEAS @clubexpress.com, and you say that you'd like to see a Microsoft integration, Teams meeting integration. And like I said, the more people who request it, the more likely it's going to happen.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We will do this again in 2 weeks. This has been great. A lot of great questions and some new things to show you as well. So thank you, everyone, for joining us, and